All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland. There's a great song from Maximum Overdrive. You know, we were talking horror films. These have all been songs from horror films. That was from Maximum Overdrive. Earlier, we had one from Fright Night, of course.
That's obviously. Yeah.
Pet Sematary from the Ramones, from Pet Sematary.
From
all
the popular
of these movies you should watch this Halloween.
Right, all quality films, except for maybe the one we're going to be bumpering on the way out with, which is going to be Phantom of the Mall, so that's a little questionable, but...
Phantom of the Deli.
Right. All right, so our next movie we're going to talk about that's supposedly based on true events was a little more transparent with its lack of accuracy.
This one was a little closer, although I did look it up later, and there were some very major liberties. I don't really want to spoil the ending.
Right, it's actually worth watching, but the movie we're talking about here is Veronica, and it's a Spanish movie, and for those of you out there who are confused on what that means, it means it's from Spain, not that it's from Mexico. The movie is from Spain.
Yes.
Although there are great horror films
in Madrid.
From Mexico as well. But I really liked it. What do you think, Tyler?
I liked it. My biggest question exiting that film is, can I look at a lunar eclipse through a film negative?
Oh, yeah.
I'd love an answer to this.
Yeah, and if you can't, I feel that that's pretty irresponsible to put in the movie.
I'm pretty sure you can.
You can? I don't know, man.
I don't know.
My buddy Chris was a welder, and we went and watched the eclipse here in Reading, and we had to not only wear his welding mask, but have something else in front of it because his welding mask alone wasn't strong enough.
Oh, wow.
You know, so, I mean, it's got to be strong. I mean, that thing's going to burn a hole in your puppies.
Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, the first thing that I thought about with it is my horror movie snootiness. I am a snooty, hardcore horror movie fan. I have been literally for decades. I've seen just about everything. And so a lot of the times when a movie comes out, you know, this movie had such stuff around it, people saying like, oh, it's so terrifying, and people can't even finish watching it, and people are passing out, and blah, blah, blah. You know, and so when I saw it, I was thinking...
It's a little overhyped.
Well, of course it was overhyped, you know. I mean, you know, Jared was reading me all the reviews about how absolutely terrifying it was, which is why I watched it. Am I misquoting this?
No, I literally heard that people had to stop watching it halfway through.
Yeah.
And I believed it. And then you watched it and you're like, whatever.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
No, it's really not.
Did they screen it for a bunch of kindergartners, and that's who gave these?
I mean, people stopped watching Reservoir Dogs halfway through.
My view of anybody who has to watch it, stop watching a movie halfway through, is they either have some serious religious beliefs or they need some counseling. You know, something to cope with some past trauma that they're just not... I mean, I have never seen a movie that I'm just all like, oh my God, I just can't handle this.
I mean I think
maybe
some
a
people
lot of
are probably more high-strung, but...
Maybe what, Tyler?
I said maybe a lot of haunted people had to leave the movie theater.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They're like, this is really close to home. Ghost buddy sitting in the seat next to me. Let's get out of here.
Right. Well, here's where my snootiness came into play. And, like, I'm watching it and I say, okay, well, one reason why people think that this is so scary and so cool is because it's something very new to them. But as a fan of horror films, if you followed any sort of horror films out of Spain or Italy from the late 70s on, this movie had very much a look and a feel that is very similar to movies from that part of the world. You know, it was not shocking. It had this kind of like retro modern thing where it was obviously trying to throw some throwback Dario Argento fanness or Gallo film fanness, you know, thing. It also had this weird thing that these European movies have, and I'm not sure how to say it in a PC fashion, but they get a little too comfortable with young girls coming of age. I don't know. They show them in a light that's like really wouldn't fly here in American movies. Do you guys see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, but I think also...
What about, like, Carrie or hell, even It?
Yeah, I think it's also culturally, it's, a bigger deal.
Yeah, no,
that could be it.
I agree. It's just weird to see where they sort of are like, sexualizing a 15-year-old girl, Yeah. And you don't really see that in American films. You'll get the implication of it, but, and don't get me wrong, there was nothing like specifically racy about this, but there was just something about their delivery of this girl that is sort of common of European films. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But the one thing that I did really like it's been a long time since I saw an exorcism or possession movie that didn't remind me of The Exorcist throughout the entire thing. And I felt that this one was different.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought they did do a good job when, she is possessed and they're showing, spoiler alert, her, screaming with her face all contorted, mouth back.
Yeah.
Shows a good camera angle. I don't know if they did any digital effects to make her mouth look bigger, but it certainly has that spooky feel to it.
Yeah, like that freaky thing in the ring when they'd show like the corpse and it's all like,
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think we're allowed to spoiler affect this one because, it came out in 2017. What is the cutoff date at this point when you can spoiler things?
I don't know what the spoiler statute of limitations
I believe we had an argument about this outside.
All right, what did we come up with, Jared?
I don't know. I think Kara, sorry.
Okay, we have to do the whole show again now, Jared. Great.
I think you came
up
with
it over. Let's talk about Winchester.
Oh, no.
See what you've done. You've made us talk about Winchester.
I was going to say, I think you had the most definitive answer.
But it couldn't have been that definitive because I don't remember what it was.
All right, Tyler, what do you think? How long does a movie have to be out
I don't know.
before we're allowed to just sort of huck spoilers around?
I'd say a month.
1 month? Oh, that's way shorter. I was thinking like 6 months, and I think Kara said a year.
Yeah. Yeah, a year is about what I think.
I don't know. I thought you working in an office environment, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Like...
Oh, yeah, that is what I said.
I thought you said once it came out on DVD or...
Once it's on DVD, because at that point, anyone in the world can pirate it. So it's like...
So now we based it off of pirating?
I mean, don't we?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, Not that I would ever do that. But
no, I mean, me neither. Right. But it's like, you don't have time to go see it in the theaters. Maybe it didn't come to your town, okay. But once it's on the internet, you have no excuse to not have seen it.
Right. And for those of you listening, Veronica is actually on Netflix.
And
I did watch it on Netflix.
For about $20, you can call up Helen Mirren and she'll actually watch Winchester with you. So that's what I do.
That poor woman.
God.
That poor woman, man. You're going to feel...
She's accessible. She's made herself far too accessible.
Yeah, totally. She might as well start acting on TV. Yeah. All right. So the reality of Veronica. The reality of Veronica is about the reality of any biopic, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
At best, it's about 50%. So think about biopics you've seen. You've seen Ray, you see the Buddy Holly story, you see these movies. You're looking at about 50%.
Right.
I would say Veronica is as good on a based on true story level as any biopic.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's mostly,
absolutely.
The things that happened weren't as dramatic when they happened in real life, and they didn't happen in the same order.
Right, yeah.
But it's, other than that, it's still mostly, the same stuff.
And she was a single child in real life, right?
Yeah, I think she was, yeah.
But, and that's a huge departure, because that's a really big part of, the horror of the movie, is that she has to be the mom for all these little kids, and she's really not prepared to do that.
Right.
See, I thought it was going to lean harder into that aspect.
Yeah, well...
Because her mother's working and out all the time, and, all of these terrible things are happening, basically, because her mother's not there.
Right. Yeah,
she even says the monster doesn't come when her mom's home, so that's give her away.
Well, that's convenient.
Yeah.
From what I've read about the actual case, she actually showed signs of mental illness long before this. So she, had some problems. And so we're coming up on the break here, but when we come back, let's talk a little bit about that and sort of when it comes to the reality of possession, you know, what's going on with possession and,
Right.
and all this stuff. Is it real? I don't know. All right, you're listening to Radio Wasteland. Come on back. All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland. That was the Dickies from the movie The Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Absolutely terrible, great movie.
A classic.
A classically terrible film. Yeah. All right, so Veronica is about possession, and we're talking about the reality of the situation, and so we can't really do that without addressing the potential reality of possession. I personally have a hard time with it. You know, I've known a lot of people who like are really freaked out by The Exorcist, let's say, but to them it's reality, and to me it's fantasy. I don't have those beliefs.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I don't know. What do you think about possession, Tyler? What do you think about the possibilities?
All right. Well, I will tell you this. When I was about 24, I was staying up late and was out on my parents' back porch having a cigarette, and I saw a glowing orb move through my backyard. Now, it cast its own light source, and I specifically did not go down and touch it because I didn't want to risk possession. So,
or electrocution from
electrocution. Either of those things.
Right. So I feel...
Can it happen? I don't know, but I'm not willing to court it, I guess.
Right.
Right. Well, your belief in something as so unbelievable as possession is obviously and appreciatively offset by your belief in something as so scientific as electricity. So that's good.
That is good.
I think the possession is possible. You know, I really liked Insidious because Insidious sort of had this concept of possession that was sort of outside of religion. It was more astral projection and stuff like that. And I thought that was really kind of cool to have this, you know. In looking into the realities of this, I read a little bit about schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And so schizophrenics here in America and in Christian countries often are hearing the voices of and having visual hallucinations of religious stuff.
Sure.
The interesting thing is, in other countries, they don't. So in Japan, schizophrenia doesn't like have Shinto or ghosts or demons from their culture. Really what they focus on is shame and failings. And in India, they sort of focus on paranoia about your neighbors and what they're up to. So it is interesting to note that here in Christian countries, that a large part of our healthcare system, especially for the mentally ill and stuff like that, historically has been done by the church. And this might be where that connection lies, you know. Yeah.
I mean, that
is deep for the last quarter of the radio show, Shotzi. That's a starter topic. Right?
Yeah, well, we got to end on a gem, man. We got to remind people what this show's really about, you know. So, you know, it's hard for me to even believe in the idea of exorcism. I looked up a bunch of them on YouTube, and I don't know. I love YouTube, but you can't believe a single thing you see on there.
No. Yeah, I'm pretty iffy on it myself. I think it might be, there might be some tiny shade of reality to it, but no one's like dying or being chased around their apartment by, you know,
I mean,
demons without some pre-existing, you know, problem that's the real problem.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the thing with possession, it's just as provable as anything else we haven't proved scientifically yet. So.
Right,
but at the same time, so many people believe in hauntings. So many people believe in ghosts. And so
I'd kind of put possession in the same bucket as that, personally.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, it is easily...
maybe 50-50 on the idea of both of those things.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and guess that it's even more believed in than UFOs, you know, ghosts and hauntings. You know, that there are more people with more experiences and stuff like that, at least in my experience in life. And that's before doing this radio show. You know, everybody seems to kind of have a story. I mean, Tyler just had a story.
Yeah. I have stories.
I don't. You know, I've never actually seen anything other than...
Well, you need to summon more demons.
Boring, stark reality, you know. It's terrible.
Both Kara and I are going in on a Ouija board for you, Chauncey, so it's not too late.
That was one thing that I liked about the movie. So one reason why the movie probably found success was there's been this huge uptick in movies about Ouija boards in horror films and a huge uptick in movies about crazy nuns. And so this movie had both of those.
Your two classic elements of horror movies. Ouija boards and crazy nuns.
Well, Catholicism is Christianity on the whole, and for anybody who's Christian out there, just, look at the history. I'm not coming down on Christianity. On the whole, it's the product, literally 50% of our horror films are somehow based in Christianity. I have a decent knowledge of the Bible because of my obsession with horror films. I really do.
Huh.
Jeopardy comes up, I do all right.
Kind of funny.
Terry, my wife is Christian, and she looks at me and she's all, "How do you even know that?" I'm all, that was...
Yeah, in the end times, you're going to be Van Helsing it up, Totally. I mean, you're not going to be raptured, let's be clear here, but you're going to be, you're going to be around hunting the monsters for the people who are left. So that's good. You're prepared.
That's true. That's true. So ultimately, we give Winchester a fat thumbs down.
Right.
And we give Veronica a
thumb at a 45-degree angle upward.
Yeah,
maybe.
I was going to say a loose Fonzie,
Yeah, definitely. It's like when Fonzie's phoning it in for the ugly chick.
Oh, God.
What? Is that not acceptable?
I don't even know anymore.
I don't either. I don't know. I can't. I don't know.
Good thing we're pundits.
If I can't make fun of how people look, what can I make fun of?
Yeah.
Winchester.
There
always
we go.
Forever.
Come full circle.
Yeah, Winchester's like the only one.
And how old Helen Mirren is.
Oh.
I thought this is how we began the show. I didn't start it.
It's true. I got to say, though, for how old Helen Mirren is, she looks really, really, really good.
I don't know how old she is, actually.
She is well into her 60s, probably in the 70s.
I thought you
that's
said
not that bad.
Old as dirt?
Yeah.
There's some young
Tyler
dirt
said
out there,
old as creation.
Yeah, okay.
Chauncey lives on a fairly new homestead, so the dirt is actually quite fresh. Yeah, for him, it's accurate.
Yeah. I do.
Grinds down rocks every day to make some new dirt.
My apartment complex was built like 20 years ago. So, But, so I was disappointed across the board.
You're not mad, you're
in
just
the reality. I guess before the show ends, do any of us know a horror film that we really feel was accurately based on some sort of reality?
A true story?
I don't know. I love Ravenous, and I always will.
Yeah, Ravenous was awesome, without a doubt. The setting was very much a true story. I don't know if the story was true, but the setting was an awesome, cool setting for a horror film, sort of the colonial, post-Civil War, Old West. Is that...
Yeah, and there were enough stories that are similar to that definitely happened.
Yeah. Supposedly the Entity is very much based on... so they actually had this woman who was repeatedly being sexually assaulted by a ghost. And it happened to her while she was in being watched and hooked up to all the electrodes and stuff. And that movie is about that.
Well, that's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
You should watch
it. I'm sure you will. Because, as I've told you...
But not in a creepy way. It just sounds like a good movie.
I've told you 1,000 times, Carrie, you remind me of my daughter. And basically, if I bring up something totally messed up, I know that she's going to run upstairs and go watch it just because she wants to know how messed up it actually is.
Man, Schoolhouse Rock is like the most messed up thing I've ever seen. I don't know about you guys.
Wait, what?
I figured if she was listening, Chauncey, I want to hedge your bet.
Oh, thanks. She's 23 though, so yeah.
You're never too old for Schoolhouse Rock. Come on.
Yeah, totally.
Carl Sagan videos, horrifying.
Totally.
Horrifying.
Have you seen the remake of what was it? Oh man, I totally forgot it now. Cosmos, yeah. Have you seen the remake of Cosmos? Oh my gosh, the end is amazing. Yeah. You got to watch it all the way through to the end.
Right.
All right, so you've been listening to Radio Wasteland. We've been talking about which movies are good and which movies are bad, and if they're based on real situations. And we've come up with bad, decent, no, and no. Thanks for checking us out for our little Halloween fun. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Tyler.